Dennis is going to try to phone in.
Okay.
And we are live.
Okay.
Okay, so I will now call the meeting to order. The adoption of the agenda, that the agenda for the December 10th meeting of the Community Development Advisory Committee be adopted. Can I have someone move and someone second, please?
I'll second.
I'll move or second.
Okay. Barry, Alan?
Yep.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof, is there any? Seeing none. Adoption of the minutes held October 8th. We need a mover and a seconder for the adoption
I'll
of the
move
minutes.
to accept.
And Mary, okay?
Yep.
And anyone opposed? Okay, moving forward. Reports. So the report about COVID-19 response initiatives, December update. Richard? Or
Thank you,
Allison.
Madam Chair. I'll take, I'm sure we both will have a little bit to say on this, but this is just a continuous update. You'll see regular updates on our response to COVID-19 as we go forward. The main focus of our response in the past few months has been our Shop Local initiatives, where we've been shooting and promoting local businesses through Shop Local videos, as well as in the last 2 weeks, we've launched a Shop Local holiday campaign, where we're encouraging and helping and make it easy for folks who want to support local businesses to find gifts that would support those local businesses at this time. During COVID-19, it can be pretty tempting to order from the larger retailers, but we all know that our local businesses need our support. At the end of this report, you'll see that we have a few outcomes associated with the 4 pillars of our response. That includes the number of monthly surveys that we've done. We've done 3 in total so far, that we did in the early days of the pandemic, and we'll be checking in again on the pandemic in our annual business survey that goes out in January. We've sent 43 newsletter emails so far. I think actually this week we've gone up to 45. And we've hosted over 20 video conference calls with ambassadors to support that. Also during this time, we've recruited new businesses to the Ambassador Network who have enjoyed access to this. We've heard in the last couple of weeks from a few businesses that they really appreciate how we're collecting information and providing it in a concise format for them, and that they've many of the businesses have found support through that. Lastly, we are in the process of completing our economic development review, which we at our last meeting fed into with the consultants from Blackline Consulting, and County Council will be looking at their recommendations at their next meeting going forward. So if you have any questions about anything in the report or anything to do with the COVID-19 response, I'm happy to take them.
Anyone have any comments? I would like to say that I've heard from, I was at a place of business yesterday and heard from a couple of people that have had interviews with Allison, and they're really pleased with that. So it's great to see that kind of initiative going forward.
Yeah, we intend. The plan is to continue with that because of the positive response. So it's been we've received some very kind notes from the businesses that have participated so far.
Anyone else? No? Okay, so we have open farms in Frontenac 2020. So the motion reads, be it resolved that council directs staff to pursue formalized partnerships with Township of South Frontenac, the City of Kingston, the National Farmers Union Local 316, the Frontenac Federation of Agriculture, and regional farmers markets in order to ensure the continued execution of the annual event as a high-quality regional local food celebration. So, discussion.
Would you
Or
like
do I
to
have
get a
have mover
mover?
first?
Yeah,
Sorry,
why
yeah.
don't you get a mover and a seconder, and then Allison will.
It's
introduce the
Dennis, and I'll
report.
move it.
Okay, Dennis first and
Seconded.
second. Alan? Anyone opposed? Okay, now discussion, sorry.
Perfect. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. There was quite a bit of detail in the report. Hopefully you all had a chance to go through it. We were obviously disappointed that we, couldn't do an in-person event for Open Farms this year, but the transition to virtual went, as smoothly as it could. And I think looking back on it, Richard and I and Joe, I think I'll deem it to have been a success, as is also reflected in the feedback that we got from the farmers who are participating as well. A couple of the highlights: the Q&A sessions were new this year and really interesting. They're still live. You can watch them if you want on the website. And good attendance, good engagement from students especially, and some really interesting conversations. I learned quite a bit through those Q&A sessions. And then also really interesting this year was, because we didn't have geography to deal with or ferry capacity to limit us, we were able to have more participants, 14 this year, and the geography was dispersed. We had a couple of Wolf Island participants, a couple of Howe Island participants, which was fantastic. And some farms who participated this year who wouldn't have in the past because of capacity. And those same farms likely wouldn't do, if we were to go back to the traditional single day, 1,000 people on a farm kind of format, they likely won't be able to do that, but they were able to participate this year. So lots of good came from the event, and you'll see in the report, I've sort of itemized the rationale for pursuing partnerships with each of those organizations listed in the recommendation. I don't know if you want to get into any of those pieces or not, but if there's any questions at all, I'm happy to provide more information.
So it's Mary. I have a couple questions. What was the budget? No, not the budget. What was the actual expenditure this year compared to last year? Just roughly.
Yeah. I would say our expenditure this year was around $14,000, I want to say, in total. We got a grant from RTO9 for $42.50, I think it was. And we got a supporting check from the Frontenac Federation of Agriculture for $500. And that money pretty much all went to, for the most part, went to the creation of those videos. And we shifted our investment there because we knew we'd had to create some high quality content to get attention for the event, which is what those videos did. So a little over 14 grand this year compared to, Richard, I want to say it was 8,000 last year. And we planned for that increase, whether or not it was going to be virtual. I'm not sure that we had necessarily landed on 14 prior to going virtual. I don't know what was in the budget necessarily. Do you want that specific number, Mary?
No, I'm just trying to get a flavor.
It was a comparable cost.
Okay.
Sorry.
Comparable cost, but a larger outreach with the virtual event.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say how many people we reached, in person previously, right. but we were estimating that this was a wider and broader reach. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions? Lisa?
Is it worth
Yeah. Is it worth doing kind of a hybrid event in the future so that we can include some of the smaller ones on top of the big ones and catch more?
Yeah, I think so this whole report is sort of written assuming we can do in-person events next year. And I think even if we can go ahead with in-person events, we will still have some virtual components. I think the Q&A sessions, especially the ones that were geared at those student groups, were particularly useful. So I think that kind of format moving ahead is certainly valuable and is a great way for those smaller farms to participate. And I think that there are some other potentials. Like I've said, we could explore the possibility of creating an online sale of sort of a centralized package. So, including products from different farms into one kind of open farms package, and selling that online. That would be another way that a farm who can't invite people to their property could participate. And then they could also, there's a possibility too that they could get involved at somebody else's farm. So they could set up a stand or potentially bring an animal, all those kinds of things. So yeah, I think that there is not only a demand for that, but possibilities for sure.
Mary?
Yes, I picked up the boxes at Food Less Traveled of local products, and Kim was saying that they've been really popular. So I could see that doing well if that's not onerous from a manpower and cost point of view. Perhaps Kim could facilitate it.
Yeah, we had thought about it this year, but it turned out to be quite onerous, and we just didn't have the capacity to figure it out. But I think that's the key, Mary, is finding a partner who can handle the logistical side of it for us, and then we can market the heck out of it. There are a number of retailers who are doing a similar thing this year, and it seems to be really popular across the board. So I think you're right. There would be good demand for it next year too.
Alan?
Thank you, Betty. Just curious, is there any opportunity for some investment from the farms that are contributing, even on a modest scale? If some of the farms that are selling out of their produce in one day must be generating a fair bit of revenue, it might be appropriate to consider a small fee to assist with some of the costs for advertising and maybe even some of the video work.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think I might have outlined it in the report, is including or charging a nominal fee, even in the range of $200. And it's less, I think, about us recovering costs and more about ensuring we're working with partners who are really committed to the success of the event. And so far, we've been lucky, and we've had partners who are really, really interested and committed to that success. But as the event evolves and grows, and as we potentially include additional partners or new partners, I want to make sure we're still at that level. So I think that that's a really great idea, Alan, to not only charge that nominal fee, but also have sort of a criteria that's outlined right from the beginning so that people understand what they're signing up for and what the expectation of roles is. So, as a farm participant in this event, I am committing to these 3 things, and I'm going to pay my application fee or whatever it is.
Yeah. As a further comment, I don't want to disrupt what we seem to be generating by charging a fee. I don't want to make it a prohibition to involving some of the farms. But on the other hand, if they were generating a fair bit of revenue out of a sale day like that, they couldn't get that kind of advertising for $200 any other way. So it's good value for them, I think.
And if I could say, like craft shows or going to farmers markets or anything like that, you always pay an application fee. So it's the same type of thing, and people expect to pay for that type of thing. So
I think now that we've created this reputation around open farms too, we feel more confident that we are going to deliver that value. So associating a nominal fee with it is, I think it makes a lot of sense moving forward.
okay, and Mary, you had a comment? No. Okay, Alan?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, anyone else have any comments? Anyone think that it's inappropriate to, yes, Mary?
So is there a drop dead date to decide if we're doing this next year, or have we passed that? Or do we still have time to change? Are we looking to just tinker with the format?
Yeah, so last year, council supported the annual commitment to open farms. So as far as I'm concerned, we're going to do some form of open farms next year, and I don't think there's a drop dead date. You know, we're committed to making something work, whatever it might look like in 2021.
Okay, anyone else? No? So is anybody opposed? Let's see. That was a motion. Anyone opposed to the motion? Has been first and seconded. Seeing or hearing none, then it's passed. Thank you, Allison and Richard. Okay, now this next report is for information only, and it's a review of the motorized access to the Verona corridor of the Frontenac KMP. So, who's taking this on? Richard?
Oh, sorry.
Alan, do you have a
Well,
question before we start?
No, I mean, if Richard wishes to provide some comment, I do have a question or a comment along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just so this report is meant to sort of summarize the process that has gotten us to the place that we're at today with regards to the pilot project where we allowed ATV access from Craig Road to Bell Rock Road through Verona in 2020. And the committee had created a working group in order to evaluate and consider the survey results around that and to bring that information back in order for council to make a decision in Q1 2021. So hopefully we captured most of the history associated with this decision in this report, and I'm happy to provide any additional information or in order for the committee to move forward. I think the intention of the report is to allow the working group to go out, discuss, bring information back to the Community Development Advisory Committee in order to feed that up to council. As I was trying to follow the direction provided in the various motions from County Council and from the committee to move forward on this. So I leave it in your hands as the committee, and if you require more information, we can provide that. So.
Okay, Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a number of items. I guess in terms of timing for the working group to meet to carry out its mandate and review the use of motorized vehicles in that section, and when you wish to bring forward a report to County Council, and if it's in the first quarter, that is a relatively short time frame. The working group presumably would need to meet sometime in January, possibly, to and may wish to report to CDAC before going to County Council. I'm very appreciative of the reports that have been provided by the county relating to the trail agreements. And while I don't think it's necessarily the purview of this broader committee to delve into deeply to the efforts of the survey, it's merely a comment that I make is that I note the ATV use is favored by many of the respondents to the survey, but I would expect that those would be the ATV users themselves who in fact feel it's an appropriate activity to carry on from Bell Rock Road north. Anyway, so a couple of things, just when will the working group convene, and when do you need that results back so you can prepare your report for County Council?
Okay, we'd like to be able to bring this committee together in early January in order to provide information to County Council in January. And we're anticipating that potentially over the next few weeks, the working group might be able to find a time where they can get together to discuss and be able to report back to the committee in January.
Alan?
Madam Chair, just to respond, I think it's unlikely we're going to be able to convene a meeting of the working group prior to Christmas at this point. Most people's schedules are fairly full, and I'm not sure that people want to meet much before Christmas with the COVID risks around either. So I think that timing may be pretty difficult to meet if particularly if this working group is to report to CDAC before the report goes to County Council, which might be on the 20th. County Council is scheduled for the 20th. Timing's pretty tight.
Yes.
What about
Sorry.
in February? If they had a report, if we had a special meeting in February and went over the results just to discuss the committee's outreach and results, would that work?
I think that would be appropriate, Madam Chair.
Richard? Would that be work for them? When's the February County Council meeting?
If you require me as a resource in February, I will
Oh,
not be available.
You will not be available. That's so who will be in your stead? Would Allison be?
Unfortunately, I will be away for the month of February, but I mean, fortunately for me, but unfortunately
Yes.
for the committee. So I mean, we could propose a. I mean, we could propose. I'm not. If I'm required for support, it becomes a bit of a challenge. Perhaps what we do is we try to meet in February with the support of Allison and Joe. And if you need to call another meeting for March, we can still bring it to County Council before the end of the first quarter. Does that make sense? So we try to resolve this without me as a resource, and then we move forward in March and take it to County Council in March, where I'm available to County Council.
It's Dennis. I'm comfortable with Allison and Joe handling it in February.
Great.
Also, I would like to see some input from the South Frontenac Council, because it's their people and their turf that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and when I look at the report and I look at that graph, it says that 52% said yes, but there's 48% that said, well, maybe we should try it again, or maybe we shouldn't do it. So to me, it's fairly split. So I would like to see more investigation into that sense of it. Other comments? Barry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Since there's clearly a conflict between motorized use and various pedestrian uses, I would like to see a question on the survey whether the local people are against motorized use or whether they would quit using that segment of the trail. I didn't see that in the original survey. And the second issue that concerns me is I have a friend who has video of animals in South Frontenac, which include coyotes and deer, even a black bear, fishers, bobcats, all showing up on his camera. So not that through the Rona we're going to see black bears very likely. There's still an issue of what motorized use will do to people's ability to enjoy nature there. So I think we ought to deal up front with the conflict between motorized use and pedestrian use. I don't see the economic side of it overwhelming public use in this area. I think since people will be leaving to use the trail near Verona, there's clearly going to be a conflict there from everything I've read in the last 30 years, mostly in the United States, but also out west. So my question is, can we get a question that deals directly with the conflict, such as, are you against or for motorized use on that segment?
Okay, so I would ask Richard to respond because I believe the survey is completed and we can't add that question at this late date, but I will ask Richard to comment on it first.
Yeah, the survey was open for approximately 3 months and generated over 400 responses in total, which is fairly reasonable for the types of surveys that we run in Frontenac County. What we're able to do is we did collect postal codes from respondents, so we are able to bring back answers to the question using the Verona postal codes or postal codes located in South Frontenac to see how that question is answered by those residents who live in that specific area. And I can bring some additional context about the overall contributors to the survey. The survey was fairly equally filled out by people who walk, bike, and ride ATVs. It was not dominated in any one of those three directions.
Okay, thank you. So I think Dennis has a comment first.
Okay.
Dennis? Dennis, did you have a comment?
He's on
No.
mute, doesn't know
He's
that.
on mute. He was on. Okay, so
There-
Alan next.
Well,
Oh, there's Dennis.
Dennis, are you?
No, yeah, I've got no comment at this
Okay,
point.
thank you. Okay, Alan?
so thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I think much of the discussion we're looking at right now really fits in the purview of the working group.
Yes.
I hear Barry's concerns and the comment you raised about the relatively equal split. But something would be relatively simple to do, I think, from the survey results would be to take out the ATV users and look at their response as being perhaps predominantly of interest to seeing the use for the space from Bellrock Road to Craig Road versus the other users. I think we could more clearly identify that disparity that we're looking at right now. But again, I think is the purview of that working group, I think, to resolve the matter more fully. So I think let's get that working group together, and it may take a couple of meetings for them to resolve what recommendation they wish to bring forward to this committee.
And I would
Thank you.
suggest, Alan, if you can, I believe you're the chair, are you?
Well, I'm on the committee. I don't know whether I've been
I don't know.
the
Okay.
chair or not, but
But if one of you on the committee can arrange a Zoom meeting send out a survey of when people are ready to meet and then send out a Zoom meeting notification, then that would
Sure.
help move you forward.
well, I'd be willing to take that on.
Anybody have any objections to that? No? Okay, so Mary, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to echo Alan's comments. So the task of the working group will be to take various items, such as the survey, such as the Trail Canada application, such as safety concerns, wildlife concerns. The survey is only one portion of input. So I think we have lots of rich material to work with and be able to give a balanced report.
Good, thank you. Barry?
Yes, I wonder if the survey has been collated, and are we going to get access to it? I feel a little like a mushroom being kept in the dark and covered in manure to some extent. I think there are other issues, of course. There's the use of motorized vehicles. Who's monitoring it? Who's going to enforce it? ATVs clearly have an effect on the trail surface that requires additional maintenance. And those issues I don't think have been really resolved, at least to my satisfaction.
Well, again, I think that's with the working committee. That's some of the issues you need to look at.
But could we not get at least some of the survey results?
Yeah, I think I would like to see the survey sent to everybody when Richard has it ready.
We weren't informed of who the working committee was. I don't know who's on it.
Oh, that was decided 2 meetings ago?
Yeah.
And
there's a motion in this report that was made at the end of August.
Yeah.
You seconded that motion, Barry. And so if you
that was to set up the committee. That wasn't as to who the committee would be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It says
yes,
it does have the names on there: Councillor Alan Ravel, Mary Klusterman, Barry Gilbert, and Greg Rogers be appointed to the working group.
Yep.
And I believe we have the power, sounds so grand, but the working group can consult with any other people that we feel would bring an important insight. So we can talk to the snowmobilers and the ATV club and wildlife and whoever we want, but we are running out of time. So
yes,
people lined up.
Yes, so that was the working group that was set up. So
then has the working group been provided with the results? I haven't received the results of the survey.
Well, we have it in this report. I mean, if we want to get different correlations, I'm sure we can ask for them. Correct, Richard?
Right. The group is being convened to examine the issue of ATV access between Craig Road and Bell Rock Road, which consisted of one question on the survey, which I provided the answer as part of this report. The entire survey closed on November 30th, and so I did not have time to collate all of the data for all of the questions. There were 35 questions on the survey to pull it together to bring for information to anyone at this point, because I have to monitor the comments to make sure that they're not revealing of any private information or anything like that. So I have to review all 400 responses before I make a public submission of that.
okay, so you'll do that at your earliest convenience. I know you're a busy man and Christmas is
I can, but as I said, I can, for this question, I can certainly provide a few different ways of looking at the data based on postal code, or based on whether a survey respondent has indicated they live adjacent to the trail, or there's probably about 6 different ways that I could present results where we're looking at different portions of the survey respondents to the working group, and I'll put that together and forward that.
Thank you very much.
I can do that fairly quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the rest of the survey, whenever you get the results, we would probably all like to see them, but that's moving forward. Any other questions, comments, or anything else? Okay, so Alan, you will set up a Zoom meeting between them. Yes, sorry, Alan. Richard?
I just just from a staff perspective, so we understand when to schedule meetings. And it's another piece of business, but so the intention is that this group will, the CDAC will come together again in February, and at that time, the working group will have. We'll hopefully have something to bring forward for the whole committee to then submit to council.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, it'll probably have to be a special meeting in February because I see that we're scheduled January 7th for next meeting.
I advise that we schedule our next regular scheduled meeting for February. Then, if that makes sense to the rest of the group.
That's
Makes sense
fine
to
with
me.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll reschedule that for February. So in February, it would be February 11th then, would be the second Thursday in February.
And Madam Chair, I've noted that in the minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Noting it in my day planner. Okay, so any other discussion on that, that point about the working group and everything else? Hearing none. Pardon?
I move we
still
adjourn.
We got communications. I don't know if there's any discussion on the funding agreement with TransCanada.
Again,
With
Madam Chair, I suggest that belongs in the working group.
Okay, that's fine with me.
I
And
agree.
if anybody outside the working group has any comments that they would like to make, please make them to Alan, Greg, Mary, or Barry, and then they can add it into their meeting discussion also. Everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay, so the next piece of information is there any other business that anybody wants to discuss besides Merry Christmas to everybody?
And
Okay.
Happy Hanukkah.
And
Yeah,
happy
today's the first day of Hanukkah.
Yes,
And
Hanukkah
whatever-
tonight.
Pardon? What'd you say,
Hanukkah
Barry?
starts tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, so other than that, I would suggest that the next meeting is February 11th at 10 a.m. And I assume Richard won't be at that meeting, but Allison and Joe will be. And Richard, all the best in February and with the upcoming event. Thoughts and prayers are with you. Anybody else? Dennis moved that we adjourn. Anybody opposed? Barry seconded. Anybody opposed? Thank you, everybody. Great work.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.